Hello, kindergartners. Today is an exciting day in art because we get to use that wonderful painted paper that we created last week to create our flowers this week. Our flowers inspired by the book, The Tiny Seed. So this week you will need your painted paper, of course, your green and red paper that you made. You'll need a sheet of blue construction paper that went home in your last supply pickup. And then you'll need scissors and some glue. I'm gonna use a glue stick today. You could also use some school glue. It's up to you. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is cut out our shapes to make our flower. So I'm gonna start with my flower petals in the center of my flower. So for the center of your flower, you can look at both of your papers and decide what color you want the center of your flower to be and what part of your paper looks good to be that center. So I think I'm gonna go with the red sheet. So the red will be my flower petals and my center of my flower. And I'm really liking how this looks right here. I think this would make a nice color to be the center of my flower. So I'm gonna turn over my paper there, kind of put my thumb where I know that color was, and I'm gonna draw a circle. You could find something in your house to trace, like a cup or a bottle of paint or something like that. I'm gonna go ahead and draw a circle, and then I'm gonna cut that out. And remember, when we're cutting, our scissors are closed until we are using them, and then we cut away from our body. So we're pointing the scissors away from our body and moving the paper so that our scissors are never pointing at us. And I'm just gonna cut around that circle that I drew. There we go, there's the center of my flower. And the next thing that I need are my flower petals. So for your flower petals, you could do a lot of different shapes to create flower petals. You could do more circles like we just did. You could do triangle shaped flower petals. You could do ovals. I think I'm gonna do sort of like an oval, but with a flat bottom. So I'm gonna call it a rainbow shape or even a U shape. So I'm gonna draw a whole bunch of those, maybe about 5 or 6 on my paper, and then cut those out. And the same thing, we wanna keep our scissors pointing away from our body. So I'm just moving my paper to help that. And there's one petal. And I've already cut some of my petals out, so I'm gonna move on. I have some petals here that I cut out earlier. And I'm gonna bring my green painted paper over. And now the parts that I need from my green painted paper are a stem and some leaves. This could also be the center of your flower, so maybe you chose to use the green to be the center. So for my stem, I just want a straight line. So I'm gonna cut a piece off and then just cut one long strip out of that. Your stem might be wider than mine, it might be longer or shorter, because you are the artist of your flower. All right, so there's my stem. And now I need my leaves. And I'm gonna turn my paper over for this one. I didn't need to draw my stem, but I definitely wanna draw the shape of my leaves. So for the shape of my leaves, I am going to show you a little trick. I'm gonna draw a smile. And then I'm gonna close that smile up with a frown. It's kind of like the shape of an eye if you were drawing an eye, or it's very oval but just has those pointed ends, and that makes for a really nice leaf shape. And then I'm gonna cut that out. And maybe you want to do 2 or 3 leaves. Maybe you just want to do 1. That's up to you. All right, and there's my nice leaf shape. And now I think I'm ready to put my flower together. So I'm gonna grab that blue construction paper and my glue stick. And the first thing I'm going to glue down is the stem of my flower. I'm gonna turn it over and make sure my glue is all the way to the edges of whatever I'm gluing so that it doesn't peel up after I place it on the paper. I'm gonna place my flower right in the middle. All right, the next thing I'm going to add is the center of my flower. I'm gonna get that glue all along the edges and place it right on top of my stem. And now for my flower petals. You might have more flower petals or less than I do, and that's okay. We are all creating our own artwork, so they're gonna look a little bit different, right? So after you're finished putting your flower together, you could use some crayons to add some other details like clouds or a sun if you want. You can even use the rest of your painted paper to add some more flowers or maybe some grass. All right, my last flower petal. And then I'm gonna add my leaf. There we go. So I'm all set. I think I'm gonna leave it just like that. If you want to add some other details, go ahead and continue on and add some fun things to your background or even some more flowers. Or you can leave it just like this if you're happy with it as it is. Have a great week. I'm so excited to see your art.